Tanner and Dan, yeah.
Misfits on vinyl for me. Fuck John Cougar! No, it can't.
All right, hello and welcome to Misfits on Vinyl. My name is Spencer Streichert. I'm an actor, comedian, and one of your tits.
My name is Aaron. I am also a tit.
And also an actor. And today we're joined by a band. We got another fucking band in. We're back at KAKS,
Yes.
and we have from the Waterfront, we got Tanner and Dan. How's it going, boys?
Fucking awesome. Thanks
It's
for
been
having
great,
us.
bud.
Nice to be here with some tits.
Yeah.
We're a double set today.
Yeah, dude, we're a full udder.
If you count mine, we got 6. This is pretty great. Yeah. This is a pretty great start to the podcast.
Listen, the only thing that's disappointing about our 6 tits is that you can't get milk out of them,
Yeah, it's true.
but you can get milk out of our 4 sticks.
There you go.
It's
I feel like if you try hard
if
enough,
you try
you'll
hard
get
enough.
milk out of them, yeah.
Speaking of seeing my tits, together, me and Tanner play hockey together.
Yeah,
That's
undefeated thus far.
Yeah, the Blue Waffles.
Ooh.
Lower intermediate. Monday, Friday night. South Calgary Recreational Hockey League. Top of the standings.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, so we met, I don't know, what, like 3 weeks ago?
Yep.
Yeah. And then, by chance, we were just talking before the game the other day, and he's like, "Oh, I'm in a band." He played one of his songs in the dressing room. I was like, "Oh, I do a music podcast." And then we were like, "We should fuck."
Dude.
And we did. Now we're here.
Dude, I'm so happy that you guys fucked.
So am I.
Honestly, I hope it doesn't happen.
No, so I have a question for you guys then. Like, can you guys just intro yourselves a little bit? Because like we don't know too much about you. Obviously, you guys know each other pretty well. I don't know either of you guys until today. It was the first time. So, where did you guys grow up? And where did you meet? What the fuck is your like?
I'll let him start. 'Cause for all intents and purposes, Waterfront, he started the band, and I kind of showed up like 18 months later.
Nice.
So I'll let him kind of kick
You're
it
the
off.
Ringo Starr of Waterfront.
Yeah.
I get around.
I just didn't realize you needed a bassist. Yeah, I should probably add
It sounded
We
pretty
will.
empty.
We really should have just stuck as a 3-piece, but no. No, yeah, it was like funnily enough, Tanner was in a band of his own called Homeless in Hawaii. Me and my buddy Graham were actually at one of his shows. And after the show, Graham offered me a ride home. I was just talking to him, and he was like, or I was like, "Look, man, like seeing Tanner's band play all the time, I was just kind of like, I just wanted to be in a band. Like I was in a band in high school. Obviously, nothing came of that. So just kind of talked to him about it, and he was like, honestly, dude, same. Just kind of was feeling the same vibe. I asked him what he played. He said he played drums and bass, and I was like, I play guitar and sing. And we just kind of looked at each other, and we were like, So we're driving home. We're talking about like different bands that we're into, kind of that like neck deep, all time low, state champs kind of vibe. And we were just like jamming on the way home. He drops me off, and I was like, dude, like legit, if you're down, like I'm down to start something. And he was like, yeah, sure, why not? And so my buddy Ryan, who I knew was like an insane guitarist, like he can literally do like Mom's Your Uncle, exactly, just like sweet picking. I messaged him. I was like, look, man, me and Graham have something going. Not sure of anything that may come out of it, but if you're down to join. And he was all for it. And so just started as a 3-piece, started playing some gigs like around the city, back in Lethbridge actually, where there's like 2 bars to play, but I digress.
The Owl and what's the other one?
Slice.
The
Yeah.
Slice. Nice.
Yeah. There's like the occasional like offhand where like the Brew House will have a show from time to time, and we played that, and that was good. But yeah, it's like the Slice and the Owl are like the main ones.
And the Owl is fucking sweet too.
The Owl's pretty
I
dope.
love the Owl.
That is such a great venue.
Literally, yeah.
Oh man,
yeah, I've kind of avoided it.
you would dig the Owl. It's they have like a raised stage, which is nice. Like it's like fucking 4 feet off the ground, which is great. They have records hanging off the wall at
In
the
the
back,
shape of an owl.
yeah, in the shape of an owl. And
He knocked it over, actually.
Yeah,
Really?
Literally, it was I think our first or second show at the Owl, and I'm a taller dude, and so being on the stage,
really?
I tried going for it, and yeah, I knocked the records off the wall. It was like the first song too, I think.
And it was
Oh,
like right
fuck,
after they
dude.
went into their new location, and I'm like just
Yeah.
playing bass, and I just see Steve, who runs it all, just across the room in his like nice hat, and he's just looking at Dan. I'm like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if he like has some bad blood towards me, which I understand. Like,
No, we love each other.
yeah. No, the owl was sick, and yeah, like I said, played some gigs around Lethbridge. Tanner came to one of our shows. I think he was just like shit-faced drunk. And he came up to us after the show, and he was like, yeah, kind of what he says, like, I don't care if it's triangle, I don't care if it's bass, like, let me be a part of this. And we were like, we needed a bass player. So yeah, we kind of brought him along. Devin, who was also in Homeless in Hawaii, Tanner brought him along as well. And yeah, just kind of things fell into place. There wasn't really any like, we didn't hold like auditions or anything like that. We kind of just like trusted each other. And yeah, like I said, things just kind of fell into place. And that's when, Vancouver happened with the Faceplants, and then went to Edmonton to record this most recent EP. And yeah, just kind of went from there. So
First thing I gotta say, Homeless in Hawaii is a great name for a band.
Yeah.
That is
Thank
fucking
you.
sick too.
That's funny too, because like how we all met too, just even beyond all the bands or everything. We went to the U of L, like Lethbridge, everything, University of Lethbridge, and we were in the music department
Nice.
in DAA, Digital Audio Arts. So kind of even similar to the setups we got going on here, music making and such. But I was writing songs, like, because I can play like bass, guitar, drums, piano, a little bit of everything. So I would just fiddle around, make songs, and then I started touring a bit, and I just started bringing people with me. So we'd go around under my name, Tanner Sear. But then we would get to places, and on the chalkboard or whatever, they would spell Tanner's here, and we're like, because like my last name's French, it's CYR. You either can't say it, you call it Sire, or you think I'm just here or something. So we were driving to Revelstoke one time, and Devin, who's now in Waterfront's like, if this doesn't work out, I'm going to end up homeless in Hawaii. I was like, say that again. So that's where that name actually came from. Finally got to stop using my name, and that's the shows they were starting to come to. And I was working at Booster Juice part-time through university, and I don't know if it was after one of these shows they put that Waterfront together, and he comes up, he's getting a smoothie, and I'm at work, he's like, and like when you're younger too, you're like, there's so many like garage bands and everything going on. I just remember like making him a smoothie. He's like, I'm making a band too. I was like, fuck. Not another one in Lethbridge.
yeah.
So I remember, and then I was still stuck at work. I was like, motherfucker. But then I went and saw their one of their shows, like, because we're all like pretty close. I was always like trying to keep touch with what's going on around the scene and stuff. So I was like, I'll go check out Waterfront, whatever this is. And I walk in and they're covering Scooby-Doo. I was like,
Yeah.
oh man, exactly what I was kind of expecting here. Yeah, and there's some old Waterfront songs back from that first era that's pretty funny. Like we'll pull them up, like me and my fiance be like, ha! What a far climb this has come.
Yeah.
But I remember they played one of these songs, like I had a few beers, whatever, I was just enjoying the show, and they ended their set on this one song. I was like, oh, that's good. It's a song called Backbreaker that ended up on Waterfront's very first EP that I was a part of. But I remember that song specifically. I was like, fuck anything else, Scooby-Doo, anything else. Right after they played that, I go up, I was like, okay, I don't care what it is, bass, guitar, whatever, give me a call. And they finally did. And I was like, all right, I'll do this. I was kind of doing a little bit of everything all at a time. And Homeless in Hawaii wasn't going to, it was going to end at some point, right? It was just kind of like a university thing. So I was like, perfect
And that was
timing.
a 2-piece then?
4-piece at that point. Yeah.
Oh shit.
One of our guitarists, he was going out to Montreal to pursue a master's in DAA, like the same program and stuff. So it was kind of just peeling off that way at some point. We just made some cool shit and we're like, cool. Used it for like projects at the university and stuff. So it's like people were having to go do these tests, and then me and Devin, who is now in Waterfront, we'd be in his basement fiddling around with stuff, and we would just submit that and they'd be like, A+, good, don't come in. I was like, oh, thank you. But literally they don't know. We're just like behind a computer, like, we don't know how to make harmonies, we'll just move midis around.
Now I was curious if you guys had to like describe for the listeners that haven't listened to your guys' music yet, you had to pick some adjectives or pick some influences to describe kind of the sound you guys are making now on this newest EP. How would you describe it? For people that haven't listened to it before.
Nickelback meets Billy Talent.
I'd even say more along the lines of like kind of like 3 Days Grace, some 41-esque type stuff. Basically, catchy shit with stupidly heavy guitars, essentially.
Mhm.
So
I got, like we were talking the other day, I got a little bit of Billy Talent. I got definitely 3 Days Grace sort of vibes from it as well.
Yeah.
No, I really dig the new project.
nice.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Work,
Yeah.
Very excited to release it.
I was
January 26th.
I was listening to it with my cat this morning.
I listened to it once yesterday, twice, and I listened to it this morning before we came here.
Nice.
Right on.
No, that's sick.
The other thing that I thought was kind of interesting is like because you were talking about the you know, heavy guitar and stuff, but the rhythm section of it, like specifically when you're talking about the bass and the drums, really reminded me of like Rise Against or
Nice.
like it in some ways, like on some of the tracks from like Wings of a Butterfly remind me of him in a way. So I was kind of like I was that was why like the two songs that really stood out to me, Keeping You Alive and I Want to Run, were like I was like, oh shit, this reminds me of high school. Like it was like I got that right away. I was like, fuck yeah.
I think that's cool because yeah, it's like, I don't know, when I write the songs, I do try to keep it as like, you know, I definitely like those bands like Rise Against, 3 Days Grace. So those are definitely some big like inspirations. But yeah, those were like the bands that I listened to in like high school, even middle school kind of thing. Like I never was big into like rap or like hip hop and stuff. No discredit. Like honestly, now I do like it, but it's not what I grew up with. And so just it's cool to be in a project where you kind of make stuff that resembles the bands that you grew up with in high school and stuff. So
Yeah, it's like for me it was kind of like a newer take on something that felt nostalgic.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I definitely got a sense of nostalgia for stuff I listened to, same sort of age group.
Yeah.
You know, when I was in junior high school, when I was into the similar bands you just mentioned, like it definitely brought me back.
I think that's the goal.
Sort of sense.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I think that's the thing. Like, I definitely, from my buddies, they always say that word, nostalgic, kind of throwback to, well, a bunch of my buddies, they always say, when I listen to your music, it makes me want to break out the guy liner.
Get the
like, honestly,
fishnets.
that's the vibe. Yeah.
But I would say though, like what I think separates you guys is that it is still fresh. It's like it is still. It has that newer sound to it. It just has that nostalgia feel. Whereas I feel like there's some bands that are like, no, fuck it, dude, we're gonna make it exactly like it was in 2002. You know, like I don't know if you guys know the band Safe at Second in Calgary.
Unfamiliar myself.
No.
Okay, it was a couple of the guys from the Path Less Traveled made this.
Actually, okay.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah. So the Path Less Traveled, for those that don't know, are like really heavy, like fucking great, honestly amazing music. They were the first band that I discovered when I moved to Calgary.
Right on.
And I started going to their shows obsessively. I watched them open for CKY and Finger 11 and like a few other bands back in the day, and I was a big fan. And like they're all great guys, but Mike, one of the bassists, he started a project called Safe at Second, which is basically just like Sum 41, Blink 182, 2002. But you know, today. so it's like what I think is and it's not bad, but I'm saying like you guys, I like that you guys have like an organic original feel to your music. It's not just taking pure inspiration from that. It seems like you guys actually have something to say with it that is new.
Oh, appreciate it.
No, that's honestly
I think that was our goal. Like ultimately we want to make something that like even if no one ever hears it, if I put it on alone in my room, I'll be like, nah, that's cool. That's ultimately how we'll approach anything, because we've had a wide range of sound, and this new project is almost like an evolution. We're going like it's like Waterfront's going through puberty.
Yeah. We were always trying to like really find kind of what our like signature sound was, and I don't know if you listened to the like our previous EPs. The first EP was more like kind of pop punk kind of esque, but then our second EP, that's where it really kind of went like the pop route, I'd say, with maybe like still a little bit of like punk roots. But then when we made this third EP, we were basically like, let's break out the 7-string guitars and like 5-string basses. And that's kind of, I'd even say it's even still like a similar vibe to our previous stuff, just with 7-string guitars. Essentially,
it's got some chest hair now, and it was always kind of bubbling under the surface. For a few years there, they all like heavy stuff. I kind of like pop music. Like I like Maroon 5, Headley, and well, like not anymore, but like
he always says like the heaviest stuff that he listens to is like Billy Talent. So
yeah, I love Billy Talent. Like I like Muse, and like I do love stuff, but they're way heavy. So it's like for years they've just been like, we're gonna do it.
Well, that's funny you mentioned. That's kind of the type of music I'm really into. Like when we have super different tastes in music. Like I grew up listening to some of the bands we mentioned, but I also really big fan of the Killers.
Yes.
That sort of stuff. I also grew up listening to, as well as a ton of hip hop and electronic music. That's kind of where I come from, where Spencer's, was really into heavy rock music, country music.
Yeah.
Growing up, where like I didn't really get introduced to country till I was in like probably like 18 or 19 years old. It wasn't really something I listened to. So that's kind of where we come together on our end. And it's interesting that in your guys' dynamic, you're going through sort of similar things as well.
Yeah, I was kind of stepping in the way a little bit, not in any negative. We're just like, oh, let's keep making these tunes, and then one day we're like, fuck it, we're going heavy.
It's not a bad thing to go for a heavier sound and still have an ear for like a poppy melody.
Yeah.
Having a combination of the two, which I think you guys do on a good chunk of these tracks on this EP, is a good thing to have.
Oh, thank you.
You have a an appeal melodically to a regular listener, but also have the shredding guitars that some heavier music could also get into as well.
Oh,
so it's
totally.
a nice little bridge for both parties, right?
Yeah,
that's a huge priority for us. When we write, we start like basically it comes a voice note sometimes from him, just like he can just strum a chord. We start with a melody. If the chords are there and the melody's there, perfect. Everything else can be cool eventually. But if you start vice versa, we're like, I like this guitar riff, we find that's when we're like going down the rabbit hole. And then what's the song? We're just trying to match the guitars or whatever. So that melody is really important to us. So we almost write like as if it's pop, and then we dress it up to be Waterfront after. Or at least that's the way we've been working recently.
Well,
basically, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. I'm going to keep talking now.
Just saying, because I was going to ask about the creative process going into recording this, writing the songs for this one. Touched on it a little bit, but I was curious as like I'm assuming you're the lyricist.
Yeah.
On your end,
for most of it, like even for this most recent EP, like for Ordinary Love, like Tanner actually wrote most of the lyrics for that, if not all. Like I think I had like one part in that song, but aside from that, most of the lyrics are from me, with like touch-ups from whenever we go into the studio, and the producer will say like, oh, I think this is like a stronger lyric, and then we try it and then it works, and we're just like, boom, done. But yeah, it's kind of what Tanner was saying. It's like we start off with just like 4 chords and a melody. We're not really sure if it's a verse, if it's a chorus, if it's whatever. But even the like process, I always think of like Atmosphere, when the intro where it's just like, I want to have another heartbreak. That part it started out as just like a 4-chord melody thing, and then Quinn, the producer that we were working with, he took that and he added the guitar part in it now, and then we just kind of like evolved it from there essentially. So yeah, it's just I just start with like 4 chords and a melody, and then I'll like send it off to the guys. They'll be like, that's cool, or that sucks, and I trash it. But no, it's like it's good that they're there for that, because they have like a good ear for, like, as the songwriter, you kind of just get like blinded thinking that like, oh, everything you write can be good, but sometimes it's not. And so that's why I'm glad that like Tanner, Devin, Ryan, and Ben, they're all kind of along the lines of, we're not afraid to tell you if something's great, we're not afraid to tell you if something sucks. And it's a catch-22, but I am glad that they're like there to do that essentially. So
yeah, I can't speak for all bands whether we have thick skin or not, but it's pretty gratifying or pleasing, not to like dig at anyone, but when an idea comes into the group chat, to just go, no.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about this with Brett Cassidy. He's from the Ashley 100, and he's doing some solo work now, but we talked about like having trust in your bandmates to tell you when something's good and something's not good, and actually taking it and not taking it the wrong way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's a big part of it. And like even from when we've done stuff creatively on the acting side or the writing side or the comedy side, taking somebody that you trust and taking their opinion and actually not being offended by it, and just like being like, okay, yeah, maybe you're right, maybe this thing because when you're working on something creatively, you get so attached to what it is, and you're either something deeply personal or something you spend a lot of time on, and you think you've done something amazing, and it's nice to have an outside ear or an outside set of eyes and be like, maybe you should reconsider
this particular project, because we made this back in 2022 June, and then sat on it, tried to get the right avenues, just the right path forward to get this to release finally. But this one particularly, we became a stickler on the lyrics. Because there's times where like his melodies, like there's so many words will change at the very end, where like if an idea comes in, fine, this all flows, syllables are all there, we'll come to that at the finish line when he's in the vocal booth. And it's like we were sitting there for hours sometimes just working on a sentence, like this one line, and we never did that before. That's a whole new thing for this project, where like the message is there, but how much better can we say it?
Yeah.
And that was one thing I kept sticking on. Like, we would leave the studio and go sit in the green room and just all like be like, what about this? Nah. What about this? No. And then that's how I'm really proud of the lyrics across all 5 of these songs specifically.
Yeah. No, it's almost just like being in a hard rock band too, because like sometimes the lyrics, well, not sometimes, but like a lot of the times lyrics should mean something, but it's almost kind of, I've started to realize just like bridging that gap between like making lyrics that actually mean something, but then also creating lyrics that just sound, I don't know if I'm making sense when I say this, but just sound good to listen to / like sing, if that makes sense. Because you want the song to be like singable and catchy, but you also want the song to have like meaning and stuff. But sometimes, like, how many times have you listened to an artist talk about a song and they say that this one set of lyrics was just like a throwaway lyric? It's always interesting getting into that mindset of a lyric that doesn't necessarily mean anything to you, but it just works in the song really well, if that makes sense.
No,
Yeah.
it totally does. And how many times have you heard musicians be like, "Oh yeah, I just had this do 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 do," and but that was just going to be replaced with a guitar later, and then you're like, "But that's the part that everyone knows." Like,
Yeah.
And we've encountered albums even through reviewing albums ourselves. Like most recently we did was it the Scorpions album?
Yeah.
Where it wasn't really a lyric-based album. It didn't really have to the lyrics.
Yeah.
It was more about the sound, about the vibe, the guitarist, and that sort of thing. It's nice to find that happy medium between the two, where there's lots of albums where it's a little too much on the lyric side. I've also encountered that as well. Yeah. Where you're doing a little bit too much. So it's nice to have
We've seen that live too.
Yes.
It's
There's no changing it once it goes live.
Yeah,
No.
No, but it has a like
City and Color.
I was very disappointed when we saw City and Color. I don't know, was this 20?
That was 2021, I believe. End of 2021.
It was a disappointing show.
Oh,
Grew up listening to his music, and I was so excited, and he didn't even play Savior Saviors.
And it was the third time that I saw them. Dude, third time that I had seen them, and like the first 2 times I thought were great because one was at Folk Fest and one was just like a shitty little cafe, and so like both are like perfect settings for him. Then he's at the Jube, which is way too fucking big for someone to just sit there and go, "All right, here's my guitar, sing for you," and
Playing the Saddle Dome coming up here, so
yeah, that's.
I think I remember.
We'll be there.
I really don't like the Jube as a venue anyways. It's probably my least favorite venue for seeing a concert.
I think for music it's terrible.
I've
I
never
think
seen
for
music there.
For comedy, great though. I will say.
I think I remember I went to the Jubilation to see Avril Lavigne back in
Really?
like 2022, I want to say. Yeah, no, I remember Avril Lavigne came to, I think it was the Jubilation. I could be wrong, but yeah, or the Jube. I don't know. I've only lived in
The
Calgary
Jube.
for so long. Yeah.
Well, it's like Metric was here in town last summer, and I love Metric, and they were at the Jube, and it's why I didn't go.
Oh yeah.
It was like, if it sucks for an acoustic show, I can't imagine what it sounds like for like an indie rock band.
Yeah, honestly, like I feel like if you're talking about venues that are good for seeing music, like it equivalent size, Mac Hall. You know, like and Jack Singer.
I like the Grey Eagle.
The Grey Eagle's
Like,
great.
I've seen Billy Town there last 3
Yeah.
or
I
4
love the
times.
Grey Eagle.
Yeah.
You had that one where everybody was crowd surfing.
Yeah, with the wheelchair guy.
What was that in May of like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago? Whatever.
Oh yeah, I've been at every show they've come through.
Yeah,
And
I was at that show as well. It was mental.
it's so sick. I can't remember
Nice.
which specific show it was, but I was there with my now fiance, and this guy rolls across in a wheelchair, and I look at her, and just kind of like jokingly between us is like, it'd be cool if you crowd surfed. And then later on in the set, they're playing "Devil on My Shoulder," and at the back of the room, my eye gets caught. I'm like, no fucking way, it's the wheelchair guy. And I'm like, Ashton, look, and I'm looking over here. Everyone's like, yeah, fucking Devil on My Shoulder, and he's slowly getting carried over. They bring him on the stage, give him a tall boy, and he's there singing with them. They're putting the mic in his face. It was the coolest thing I've seen.
That's fucking sick.
Yeah.
No, that was an awesome show. It was literally mental. One thing I don't like with the Grey Eagle though is the fucking carpet. They had to change the carpet there, dude. Like,
Oh, dude.
Oh my god.
I hope they have a good vacuum.
and all the people that were washing like all the rug burns. Like what a nightmare.
I remember I went to a Day to Remember at the Grey Eagle, and I went by myself, but there was the guys that were kind of around me. I forget what song they were playing, but they did this thing where people were literally surfing on the crowd surfers, and so people were standing on these people that were crowd surfing, and it was crazy. And then the guys, one of them got kicked in the head, and so he fell, but he got right back up. But then I saw this like giant burn on his arm from falling. I was like,
Battle
oh
wounds.
my gosh, yeah, battle wounds essentially.
That'll fucking ruin your day.
Oh,
right,
he
so-
took it like a champ though. He was just like back up and right and moshing again. I think it was I forget what song, but it was one of their it was one of my faves. So
I was gonna say, speaking of venues, though, do you guys have a favorite venue that you play or have played?
For our level, I would say the Rec Room in Calgary,
Yeah.
Lethbridge,
Yeah.
the Owl, and then anywhere else, give or take. Honestly, it's like if you have good sound, I'm game, and if
Yeah.
people are there, even better.
Yeah.
We've only played in Calgary at least the Rec Room and a bar downtown called Modern Love.
Modern Love's really good.
Yeah, Modern Love was sick. It's just unfortunate because they started their show. We played a show at like 5 p.m. and it was still a great show. It was just like I've never played a show that early before. I was like, oh, it's interesting, but I understand if maybe they want people.
They do events after their concerts. They like to all right, concert and then emo night.
Yeah,
Just keep the party going.
Exactly.
Yeah, they it's too bad you guys didn't get to play Broken City, like because that was what Modern Love used to be,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
honestly, far better setup for everything. Like it honestly was such a
It
fucking.
was like the diviest of dive parties.
Yeah.
But it was like
Added to the
perfect.
vibe.
Well, it was like, it was so shitty that you loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the stage was like in a perfect place before. Like it was like center of the room. There wasn't a giant island bar taking up most of the space.
Yeah.
That is interesting. Now I didn't know that was
Yeah.
changed.
Yeah.
previously.
That part is super annoying because they do comedy there as well. And when it was Broken City, it was honest to God the best show in the country. Like there's no question about it because like
Nice.
it was just like they'd have 150 people in there. But you were like kind of right in the center of the room, so like you could play to like 3 areas of the room. Like
Oh, that's
it,
cool.
it felt like one giant area, and there was like standing room and stuff. Now it's so spread out that it feels weird for comedy.
Yeah.
I haven't been to a concert there though yet, so I don't know.
We'll tell you next time we're there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
please
yeah.
do.
We're also big fans of the Palomino.
Yeah.
That's a great
I've
spot.
Oh,
been
I've
meaning
heard
to
of it,
check out that place. I actually haven't been there yet.
You
so.
would dig it. It's real cool.
Nice.
Really good barbecue too.
Yeah.
And they got
Let's go.
they got a stage downstairs and one upstairs as well.
Oh,
So
that's sick. Okay.
it's great. Like they're I was just there on New Year's and like it was so fucking fun.
Yeah,
Like-
they have really great shows there. I'm a big fan of the Palomino.
Have like a comedy show in the basement and then like a rock show on the
That would
one
be
above.
sick.
Yeah.
I am hoping to record my next special at the Pal. So
That'd be sick,
in
yeah.
the basement, it would be so sick because it's got low ceilings. It's like actually a really good stage. The sound is amazing. It's
Yeah.
like there's nothing that can like really fuck up your eye line, like your sight lines. So,
Nice.
yeah.
We've always said that we like one of our goals essentially as a band is that we would be like elated if we ever got to play the Stampede. That'd be sick. Like honestly, as like an opener type thing. Like we're not I don't think we're headlining anytime
Like
soon.
2 p.m. on the afternoon, one of those
Yeah,
ones.
Yeah.
Kind of something like that. Just at like the Coke stage.
Same
and
with the
such.
Calgary Flames. I'm desperate to. That's why I'm wearing this. I'm actually a Ducks fan. Calgary, you're my second favorite
Yeah.
team. My fiance loves you, so therefore I must always. But I would love to play a Calgary Flames
He has
game.
like
for
5 favorite teams.
four songs between a period. You let us know.
Yeah.
Dude, and they do that. They do
I've
like
seen it. I
Yeah.
want, that's
yeah,
why.
literally the Path Less Traveled did it one time.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
you know, like
And Scott actually from the Path Less Traveled, he kind of runs the shows at the Rec Room.
Yeah.
So like every year something will bump into him like Scott, hey.
Yeah.
yeah, he's such a nice dude too.
Yeah.
Like he's
Oh.
he's such a like he's really hardworking, cares about the music industry. Like
Oh,
he
yeah,
cares about the
100%.
music scene in Calgary, and he really cares about like when he's running the shit at the Rec Room. He makes sure, because I've done comedy there before, and like even with comedy, he gives the same attention to detail that he does with like, his own bands, you know. And he does that for everyone, which I think is really really cool of him. So
Yeah,
It's always
he's
the
on
best
top of
shows
it.
there. Yeah.
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 I've yet to see a show at the Rec Room.
Well,
Mm.
we're playing there
Yeah.
February 3rd.
hey.
So. Season vet.
Our release show for Sleep in the Cold, the new EP. Get your tickets now with the link in our bio. At
Hell
Waterfront
yeah.
Official.
Yeah.
I was actually checking out your website too, and it looks very crisp, which I
Thank you.
like.
That's
Nice,
actually a credit to our original drummer Graham. Who,
yeah. Yeah.
He parted with us during this project just because he got married. He's kind of building up his life down in Lethbridge there, but we keep in touch. He coded that thing.
Wow.
He made the site, so he still
Yeah.
runs it and everything. He's still involved in a way. Still that pseudo secret member that was always there, and he'll always be a part of the history there. So we love that. And Ben, who's our new drummer, who brings in that rhythm thing, that he's a machine.
Yeah.
I just watch him play. I'm like, are you human? But yeah, so it's like it's good to
We
have the
basically-
family. It's growing, but you don't lose anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Graham's a G. And it's kind of nice too because Graham and I were like the founding members. And so when he did leave the band, I was a bit sad just because, like, you know, Graham and I started this whole thing. And so to see him leave, it was kind of like it was unfortunate, but just to have him still as even just, a small part in the band, it's really nice too. And then, Ben is just like the nicest guy, but he will always want an excuse to break out the double kicks. So basically, like, picture making a 3 years later version, but with blast beats. So,
Yeah, that's gonna be our future. There'll be a lot of. It's gonna keep getting heavy.
yeah.
Oh, I thought you had something.
No,
Oh, okay, fuck.
My eyes are so bad I can't read.
February 3rd, Rec Room
Yeah,
Calgary.
The prop sheet, my eyes are terrible.
Okay, so now I do want to talk about something because I was reading it on your website about you guys getting involved with the Faceplants in Vancouver. How did that all come about?
That
COVID.
was,
Really?
literally.
COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just, I remember Garrett and Dan.
COVID was great for the arts.
I
Honestly.
remember, Gary and Dan, they were just like scrolling Spotify or something like that. And I think they came across one of our songs on like their like recommended for you type thing. They came across it and they actually liked it. And so Garrett reached out to us via Facebook Messenger, just being like, hey guys, like, we like your song. Are you guys planning on releasing any new music anytime soon? And we were like, yeah, basically we're trying to work on an EP. They offered their services out in Vancouver, and we I don't know, I had never been to Vancouver
Packed up
before,
our car,
so,
went
yeah.
there, and then had Parallel 49 for lunch for 2 weeks straight.
Not even kidding, like every single time we went to the studio, whenever we
love
had like a
Parallel
lunch
49.
break, Parallel 49, it was just down the street from the studio, so
Wow.
Like
it just
the-
worked out like
The
that.
studio we recorded in with the Faceplants, because the reason they reached out too is like the reason I say COVID is they were planning a tour. COVID kicks off and they're like, oh shit, their bassist is all the way out in Toronto. They're in
Yeah.
Vancouver for a bit. How do we kill some time? Oh, we'll start producing for people. So we go in there. We're all social distancing and stuff masked up or whatever during
Yep.
that time. So that's basically what got them into producing. And now since then, they've just continued it. They're blowing up in the country scene.
Yeah.
Actually, all things considered.
Really?
But yeah, that was fun. Like the studio themselves, the room, they got it off Jacob Hogarth following the Headley fallout.
Wow.
And in that same building was like Mother across the hall from us. I don't know if you're familiar with them. The
Peach Pit.
Do you know Peach
Yeah,
Pit?
dude.
Yeah.
We love Peach Pit.
We fuck with
I got a
Peach Pit,
great
dude.
story about
I
this.
love Peach Pit.
We
yeah.
were sitting there, and for like the whole fucking first trip, these guys across the room are playing this one guitar like over and over, and we were joking after it, like, do you think he figured it out today? This fucking sucks. And then all of a sudden they start playing something else, and my fiance is a massive Peach Pit fan, and she came along because she's a photographer and kind of very involved in Waterfront too. She helps quite a bit, like a very, very important unknown
She's
member
the
of
sixth
Waterfront.
member, basically.
Nice.
So she's sitting there and she's leaning into me. She's like,
She's the Linda
"That sounds
McCartney
like
of Waterfront.
Peach Pit, yeah."
Waterfront.
Yoko Ono.
Yeah.
not yet.
Yeah.
But she's like, that sounds like Peach Pit. And like our first assumption was like, oh, they're covering Peach Pit. Finally, at least it's not that fucking guitar riff. And then we sat there for 90 seconds, and I was unfamiliar with Peach Pit, and I searched them up. I'm like, it says they're from Vancouver. And just knowing who else is in the building, I was like, what if that's Peach Pit? So I get up to take a shit or something. I'm going to pee, and they're doing guitar or whatever. And I'm just walking through the hall, and this guy walks out. And it's that the mustache guy or whatever off the image is like, I've seen that face before. And I literally just went, you Peach Pit? He's like, yeah. I was like, nice. And I go into the bathroom, I'm sitting there like, oh my God, we were just shit talking these guys for 2 weeks. They're so legit, millions of streams there. And then I get back in the room like, that's actually Peach Pit. Our tunes flip so quick. We're like, yeah, it's a pretty good guitar lick.
Yeah, we covered one of their albums on the podcast, and we saw them. What was that?
2022.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2022. So
Yeah, we saw them at Mac Hall, and I loved the concert, but they didn't play my favorite song, and I was very fucking cheesed about it. They didn't play Chagu's Side Turn. That was...
Oh, we heard it for 2 weeks straight. So.
Yeah, they played on 420. That was a fun show.
Yeah, it was really funny though because they came up to play Tommy's Party as their encore, but they had went outside and smoked up, and then they came on. They got halfway through that 6-minute long song, not even halfway. It was near the end, and then they were like, "Hold on. Forgot the lyrics. I'm gonna just restart." So then we got that song twice.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a thing that Peach Pit does. They just play the same thing over and over again.
I would love to know their perspective hearing original Waterfront being blasted through the walls. They're like,
That's why they were playing the same thing over. They're trying to grind together.
yeah. Battle of the Bands. That's the closest we'll brush fame.
So you said you were there for 2 weeks recording that one, and then this one you recorded in Edmonton.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
I keep my eyes on the local scene, just Canadian wise. So it's like I admire every single band. Like anyone that's doing anything good, I'm like, I don't even know you, but I'm proud of you type thing. But I keep my eyes on you. I'm like, what are you doing? Because I'm going to steal it. No offense. Like,
Yeah.
if it's working, it's working. We'll use it in our own way. So I always keep my eyes on bands like Calling All Captains. They're from Edmonton. They're fucking insane.
They're really good.
Really good. Chiliocosm, Gutter King, so many others like Path Less Travel, White Chocolate Thunder back in the day, Bellevue, now Luna Coast, all those, Alone I Walk. But Calling All Captains particularly sticks out to me. I'm like, they're legit. They're going to make it, still my opinion. They're doing fantastic stuff. They tour all the time. But their producer, Quinn, who produced this. But I only found that because I was digging into Calling All Captains. I just messaged my buddies. I'm like, who? I was just kind of like, info, give. And then I found, okay, this guy produced it. I just sent him an email. Like, I think we literally just got back from that Vancouver trip doing our second EP, Fever Dream. I was like, I love this stuff, but it's like, we can't just keep going to Vancouver. No offense. Like, we'd love to go back again, but if you just keep doing the same thing, you're going to turn into Nickelback. I love Nickelback. So I just emailed Quinn. I was like, hi, we are Waterfront. Can we record? And sent him some of those files. He's like, he actually got back. He's like, oh yeah, this is good. When you guys, and from there, just back and forth, and then demoed up those 5, and the rest is history. But it was literally just me be like, I'm looking at what you're doing. I also want to do that in our own way. I'm going to copy you. And that just led us to connecting with him. He does Royal Tusk, his own band, some fantastic.
Which they're
Canadian
also awesome. They're really fucking good.
Insane.
They're crazy good.
And their new album is awesome. We got to hear it back in 2022. Their singer had some like COVID issues with his singing. That's why they've been prolonged this so long.
Yeah.
But yeah, Quinn's a great guy. We'll be working with him again at some point. Like following this EP, the goal would be a Waterfront album. So
nice.
That's the next kind of goal. But now that we know this path and each experience we've gone through in making a project, you get a new little skill set, or you strengthen what we're all good at here. So we're consolidating, and it's like, all right, now we know the vision, we know how to aim, where to aim, and we have these resources. So that's kind of cool. But the years leading up, you're just kind of like, oh, you acquire this, you cold email this guy and all this other stuff, and it eventually comes together.
Well, and I think it's interesting too, because like this is your 3rd EP now, and so I'm interested, like, what other than like if it's like resource dependent, but like what kind of held you guys off from doing a full album up until this point?
Money and time, if anything.
Yeah, more so finances. Yeah. But I don't know, like for me personally, I've always kind of gone with the motive of like, we don't want to just like put out an album for the sake of putting out an album. We're more like quality over quantity, if that makes sense. Like obviously both would be best, but yeah, just I guess that's just kind of how it again just fell into place. Like we had these songs, we knew the songs that we liked, and it just so happened to be like 4 or 5, 6 songs when we recorded it. But I mean, who knows? Maybe like an album could be potentially in the talking points.
We're writing an album right now.
Yeah. I wasn't sure.
It very much is, but it's like that quality he talks about. Like behind the scenes, it's like when one project is just wrapping up, I'm simultaneously getting releases ready for that thing, and at the same time looking ahead to the next. Like it takes us a long time to do something where it's like at the tail end of New Heights, we were already planning Fever Dream, and at the tail end of that, I was already talking to Quinn and getting a year ahead of like, we're going to Edmonton in 12-13 months or whatever. And I'm always on the thing like Sleep in the Cold is just about to release, and I'm already like, okay, we got to get this in line, because these songs, like when you're going back and forth and trying like that quality, it's like it'll take months to get something, because some guys like you have work or other stuff, but to get that part right, it's not just like, all right, I'm gonna cut out 2 hours and this is it now, but we're gonna keep revisiting that. Like Atmosphere on Sleep in the Cold, it's the closing track on Sleep in the Cold, and the final single will have a music video on the release day. That song we actually finished day of in the studio. Like we went to Edmonton with 4.5, and Atmosphere was that half, and we're like, oh, maybe we'll do a key change. And then I was kind of like, oh, Keeping You Alive is going to be a single. What if we did like a reprise of Keeping You Alive on the second half of Atmosphere? And we're juggling all these ideas. And Dan actually took a shit at our Airbnb because we were still like, me and Devin were in our living room watching like the playoffs, and we're like, oh, maybe this key change over here. And we had this kind of rough chord structure. We're like, oh, maybe we'll slam this in as a bridge somewhere. And it ended up being like this 2 little part, because you don't know it. Atmosphere is actually through composed, like Bohemian Rhapsody. It's not Bohemian Rhapsody, but it's like it doesn't go verse, chorus, verse, chorus.
No, it's better than Bohemian Rhapsody. I'm just gonna say.
Oh yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
So there's this one part we knew we were gonna put in somewhere, and he's taking a shit listening to it. He comes out 15 minutes later with one of the best melodies on the record. It's the bridge of Atmosphere. He's like, "What about this?" And me and Devin are like, okay, we'll just get rid of what we just did. That's pretty good.
So did you call that one the Deuce Bridge?
It happens twice.
It happens twice.
Yeah, 15 minutes shit led to that. So it's,
we joke now, like, and like, because we said we're writing again. Still, the focus is this release. Is like, I'll tell Dan, I'm like, this idea needs that Atmosphere touch.
Yeah.
Go sit down on the can.
Relax.
Yeah. Some stool softeners. Yeah.
That gets the job done, apparently.
Yeah.
Pop a few hemorrhoids and get her going, boys.
That's the album name.
I just remember though that I was like, because we the guys were working on the song, and I was kind of panicked because I was just, the only thing we had for that song lyrically was that intro where it's just like the softer guitars. And I had nothing for any of like the heavier bits. And we were supposed to go in and record this song literally the day, or literally tomorrow. And so I was trying to think like so hard, but whenever they were like practicing, I didn't want to like disrupt their practice, but I needed like quiet in order to think. So yeah, I literally just went to the bathroom, just sitting there, and I was like, I heard it in the back, and I just kind of thought of a melody, and then lyrics just kind of like came to me through like just through natural installment.
It was in the air.
Yeah. That sweet shit smelled air. But yeah, I think it was somewhat panic, somewhat like natural flow. But yeah, that's kind of Atmosphere is one of those things where it's definitely one of, if not our best song. But
it's our personal favorite.
Yeah. And so just to have that story be how Atmosphere came to be, it's always like kind of in the back of my mind, just a funny little tidbit.
I Want to Run has a pretty good interest. We almost rewrote half of that song too, because Gutter King is on it, and they're good boys of ours from Lethbridge. They're up in Calgary now too, and we love them very much.
Yep.
But we always joked back in the day when Waterfront's through that poppier, punky area. It was like we were just joking, like, how funny would it be, like Gutter King and us? So it's like, we were pulling that a lot, but they're like behind it. We're always like, we're gonna do this one day. So we had I Want to Run, and we were up in there, and like in the back of my mind is like, oh, Quinn knows Calling All Captains. That would be sick. Like Devin wrote that bridge with Ryan. He's like, we got to get like a voice on there. And I was always like, do we? But
I remember when we said that like Billy Talent's the hardest stuff he listens to. Yeah. He's not a fan of the harder.
But if anything,
milk is spicy.
So milk is spicy, very much so. But that didn't pull out. So I was like, oh shit, like. We were driving to the studio to rewrite it because like if Calling All Captains wasn't going to do it, we're like, Dan, like we're not going to go like roar, like. So I messaged Bert and Gutter King, I'm like, can we just have your voice? We don't even need to say you're on it. Like totally your discretion, whichever, if at all. And he's like, actually, we do want this, and can we say Gutter King is on it? I'm like, yes, very much so.
Twist
and like
our
that
rubber
day,
arm.
Yeah, he sent the files in, and it saved our ass because we were going in there that specific day to rewrite Bridge onwards and I Want to Run. Now it's like one of the best tunes. It's like, whew.
Yeah.
Thank
Dude,
you,
that's-
Bert, Gutter King Seth, for saving
Yeah,
our ass.
honestly, like that was one that stood out to me. Like, I was like, this is gonna be in my everyday shit. Like, this
Let's
is gonna
go.
be one of my
It's your
one of my
workout tune.
yeah. That
Yeah.
literally that was it. I was like, this is gonna be my fucking lifting tune. Like,
Oh,
this
hell
is
yeah.
Yeah.
this is great.
No, it's cool because with the Spotify for Artists app, you know how you can see like playlists that our songs get added
Yeah.
to? 90% of the playlist that I Want to Run is added to is like gym playlists.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So it's always like cool because with that song, it wasn't even, well, Tanner was saying that we were like going to rewrite it, but that riff, that's actually where
The song's
Sleep in the
been around
Cold-
for a while.
Yeah.
Really?
Since day one almost.
Yeah, the Sleep in the Cold title is actually what I Want to Run was originally called. And it was a completely different song, like different lyrics, different everything. But we just kind of like scrapped it because I think we were writing it during our second EP.
It was during
release.
Fever Dream. The structure was there, like you said, whole entirely different chorus, almost different song.
But
it's
the
like,
riff,
Mhm.
for
if you heard
I-
it, you'd be like, "Oh, that's I Want to Run."
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But it got beaten out by Red Alliance on Fever Dream.
Yeah.
Like we were all like, "Oh, we're doing Sleep in the Cold," and then the producers were like, "We like this idea a lot better." We're like, "Well, you do know best." So
Yeah,
Red Alliance
yeah.
it is, and then Sleep in the Cold just went away.
I have a really random question for you because you brought it up with the playlist on Spotify, and like I've released a couple of comedy albums, and like playlists were like what helped that make any money.
It's like
you know,
modern radio.
Yeah,
it really is.
honestly.
Like where it's surprising, you know, how much that actually helps. Do you find that that is the thing that helps you guys like gain momentum, is having those playlists that you're added to, or do you think it's more of word of mouth stuff that is still?
I look at them one and the same.
I'd say the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you get onto Spotify playlists. Obviously that helps. But in terms of just like it's kind of what, like, I don't know if you've seen those videos of like Dave Grohl and stuff, where he always says like the best way to promote your band is to play live. I've kind of always kept that mindset, but nowadays, just in like the modern era, you kind of have to get onto those like Spotify playlists, even Apple Music playlists, just to gain any sort of traction. Because you can play a bunch of shows, but if you're still small and like still only playing like within your city, it's not much outreach, I guess, outside of the city.
Yeah.
Playlists vary too. Like Keeping You Alive was our first single that hit like the editorial ones, like
Yeah.
the really top. I remember I woke up to the email that's like, "Oh, you're on this and this," and I was like, "Finally!" Oh my god! Like I pop champagne is like, finally,
Yeah.
years after seeking out one of those. But that's a huge bump when they're on those things. Like our numbers went poof
Yeah.
for a couple weeks, and then you retain some of that after it drops. But the retention is pretty good just to get that option. And fingers crossed, Atmosphere kind of hits one of those too. We'll see. It's in a week on January 26th.
Or
But-
honestly, any song on Sleep in the Cold, like whether it be Ordinary Love, Atmosphere.
oh,
whatever.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a good feeling, like even for us when we ended up on the indie amplifier for Amazon. I mean, it's just such a cool feeling to
Yeah.
see yourself, you know, and see what the work you put in, and see that people are actually, you know, listening to
Exactly,
it and
yeah.
enjoying it, and see where
Good milestone.
other people
Yeah.
put your music, or you know, put your work where they would consider it, what they like to use it for. Like that's the cool part about Spotify. One thing I want to know too, like I was looking at your guys' social media. You guys get very strong social media presence.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Doing really good work on that. It's super important to
Yeah.
do it. So, do you guys do that yourself, or?
I predominantly do that.
That's mostly
Nice.
Tanner and Ashton. Like
Yeah.
Tanner runs most of the socials, and then Ashton does all our like photos and edits and such like that. She also makes our little promos for like videos.
She makes our merch.
Yeah.
Designs.
Sick.
Like a lot of it will be like we'll be at home and we're like, oh, I know. Looking ahead, like I'll look a month ahead for like, especially when you're deep in a release like this. I'm like, okay, I need to cover X, Y, Z. I'm like, well, hey, what do you think about this idea? And then we'll go back and forth. She's like, nah, that's shitty. Or in like stuff where like there's a really wicked the merch design for Atmosphere started from this idea. We're like, oh, there's an astronaut on the cover, and we just started going, but what if he's falling? What if there's a UFO? And it's the word. You'll see the design in due time here, but it's like I remember that one was we went back and forth for like 2 days just to make this one design. But it's a similar process for a lot of the Waterfront stuff. Our EP release show poster that's kind of built off the artwork itself, but it's a similar thing. Like, oh, let's just move this here. We're very picky, us two. And I'm like, perfect. Now I know that now I have a piece of content. I can go like put it where it needs to be at the right times and stuff. But we're doing that a lot behind the scenes, Ashton and I.
Well, it's an important trait to have. Like something I've like seen about Spencer. I've always talked about Spencer, and I see similar traits in what you guys are doing. Is like I admire about people that are starting out is the drive to just keep putting yourself out there and also holding yourself to a quality standard, even though you're doing it yourself, keeping your standards high and not compromising because you're doing it yourself. You know, making sure you're doing quality work and putting it out there, and also putting yourself out there
every day on there. And it's like you'll get hard on yourself too. I don't know if you go through like some where you're like,
oh yeah,
hyper criticism is good if self-imposed, I think, but you do need to another skill set to like combat that through time and experience. You're like, you got to develop that voice that creates quality, but you also then at some point have to create a balancing voice. You're like, go a little easy on yourself, you know what I mean? Like you got to look at it objectively and realistically. Like maybe you don't need to like destroy yourself over this one little thing that won't impact too much.
Well, and like the thing that I've always looked at with social media that I've like kind of grown over the last couple of years when it comes to like putting out content online or whatever is I've taken the approach of like, okay, if this was 20 years ago, would this be on TV? And it's not even like, does it need to be like TV clean or anything like that? But I'm like, is the quality there that this could be on TV 20 years ago? Because if it is, then it's good enough for social media. If not, then I'm kind of always like, I want to hold off. But there's a balance between that and also making it personal, you know, because you do need to still be personable in some way, shape, or form. And I think with the era that we're living in now, it's much more difficult, like stand up and comedy are like brother and sister, you know, if you or stand up and music, I mean, not comedy.
they're actually
they're the same thing.
They're basically twins.
No, but they are. You have like comedians opening up concerts now.
And the thing is too is like they both rely on live performance is the majority of where your income is going to come from. Albums are just one giant merch pitch, basically. You know, like it's kind of like just a reason to come out to a show, and then you're spending so much time crafting this shit, and the first probably the first 10 years of doing music or doing comedy, like for yourself, not as a band, but like for yourself, the first 10 years are just figuring out what the fuck you are and how to do it, you know?
100%.
So I always look at them as one and the same because of that reason. And so I think it's funny that nowadays we have to, like you see it with musicians a lot of times, they have to be more personable online. They have to, there's that anonymity is fucking gone now because of social media, you know. Like you can't if you're
no hiding.
If you're a performer, you gotta wear yourself on your sleeve a little bit.
There's no mystery to like a lot of artists anymore. Like,
yeah,
be a big thing in the 60s, 70s. There's like mysterious
Daft Punk
songwriter guy. Even Daft Punk, like don't do interviews, don't know who they are, like.
Yeah, good luck today if that were.
Two
guys in a helmet. Get the fuck out of here.
We need only one guy with a helmet.
We need booty shorts now. But honestly, like I'm gonna steal that whole kind of little. I'm gonna keep that in the back of my head. Like, would this be on TV in 20 years? But even on the music and maybe similar for on the comedy end, there's so much you actually end up doing that's just like outside the music. Music is here, and then it's like encompassed by all this other work, like not bureaucratic, but like kind of desk work stuff, like artwork, videos, all the other stuff, and emails, and all this other planning. And you're like, I thought I was a musician.
You become a master of like 15 different skills.
Yeah. It's like 3 jobs in one, literally.
Well, and that's the thing too, is nowadays early on in your career, you have to be considering all of those things. Like I was kind of, I was talking to a comic about it, and me and this other comic, we were in this fucking awful in-between period where like if we had started 5 years earlier, we would have had a Comedy Now special back when they made those. And if we had started 5 years later, we would have been fucking on TikTok from the get-go. You know what I mean? Like, so
right next to Matt Rife.
Yeah, it would have been Matt Rife and then Spencer Snaggletooth Straker. You know, it would have been very different demographic.
You're like Matt Rife's polar opposite.
Yeah. I'm funny. Yeah. Yeah, whereas he's pretty, but that's about it.
The boyfriend and girlfriend are fighting. Like, scroll back up. No, scroll down. No, back up to Spencer.
Yeah, listen, I know what my fucking audience is like. I did a show last year, and this guy came up to me and fucking handed me a handful of doobies, and I was like, this is my fucking fan base. This is.
Matt Rife's like the Giga Chad of
Yeah, dude. He's a perfect example. Like, sorry to go on the comedy tangent for a second here, but like, he's a perfect example of like everyone gives Brendan Schaub shit for releasing specials and doing comedy and everything, and I'm like, okay, that guy's got brain damage. Like, you can't make fun of him that fucking much. Like, whereas like Matt Rife is a perfect example of don't fucking release 3 specials in a year if you've been doing comedy for fucking 8 years. Like, that's stupid.
Stay on TikTok.
Stay on TikTok. Your little sound bites are good. Don't fucking go long form. You're an extra, not a leading man.
But like, honestly, if you're ever interested, that'd be cool to try and do one of those shows where you like if you ever wanted to open up a show,
Dude,
I
would fucking love to do that.
I've got something in mind in March. We'll talk later. But...
Yeah.
So we've had an idea. We've had an idea.
Ooh.
Misfits Fest.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
We've talked about bringing in bands we've had on the podcast. Bands we've interviewed, remotely or locally.
We're in.
Comedians.
Yeah.
I went to
Doing a live recording at it too.
I'm forgetting the name of the festival I went to now, but I went to it's in Inglewood.
Fake Fest.
Fake Fest.
Yeah.
So my brother was living in Inglewood, and my brother works in advertising. One of his colleagues that runs this thing every year called Fake Fest, where it's literally they throw a music festival in their backyard in Inglewood, and there's like 15 or 20 musicians. Some of them are working musicians, some of them aren't, and they do like a full 12-hour set list.
Oh yes.
All covers. Geez. It was fantastic, man. Like, I showed up there, I think around like 3 o'clock. We stayed till well after. Like, it was like 11:30. We left. It was fantastic.
Nice.
They literally performed all day. They had people doing solo stuff. They did big bands. It was.
We'd be thrilled to be involved in any capacity, and maybe even cover some Nickelback tunes for the crowds.
Yeah.
Dude, that'd be sick.
So that's something we've kicked around an idea. We still haven't really put any pen to paper, but we talked about it in the summer. It'd be a great idea to do. Like
You give me a shot. I can. I'll talk to some other bands there too.
Yeah, no, that'd be sick.
Just put together, some of our favorite local bands and just have a blast. Some comedians. It would be a lot of fun.
That sounds so sick.
Yeah, and honestly, like, super attainable. Like, I was actually looking into some grants for that, because if we could fucking get like 10 grand to just like pay artists, like that's just the artist pay fucking thing,
I'd sell a kidney, honestly.
Dude.
I'd fucking sell both of them. Who needs them?
Yeah, honestly, I got 2 livers.
Honestly, yeah,
That's
you're more
impressive.
likely to get money from selling kidneys than from grants. So.
Double-hearted.
I actually, I have something really stupid to bring up, but I recently looked into donating plasma, because it's like they pay you like fucking $75 each time you do it. You can do it like 3 times a week. Like, it's insane. Like, it's weird.
Is that where they take the blood?
Yeah, they take your
blood and they spin it.
Oh, I just
Yeah.
did that by donation. I didn't know you could get paid
Yeah,
for that.
you can
What?
get paid for
It's an
it.
extra step, yeah.
Oh.
What,
But-
do you have to spin it yourself?
They have like a Amish like butter truck. Literally, like,
Yeah.
Am I done yet? Can I go?
Well, actually, you're a drummer kid. They have a double.
No, there you go.
Outfit, so he can practice.
Dude, I have a horrible relationship with blood. I had my earring ripped out in junior high on a volleyball net, and ever since I like faint when it. Sometimes they don't, or it's like it has to be associated with pain or whatever. But I can't donate blood. Like, I'm out, and they if I'm on the table, they're like, "Oh, just don't come back" and stuff. And I have the one they want, unfortunately.
Oh.
I donate blood. I'm a hero. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, you're not.
Listen,
Yeah.
I was going to donate plasma.
I didn't
so
want to be a
that-
part of the
that
Avengers
counts.
anyways.
Yeah, but you were going for the financial.
I was going for the financial
Yeah.
purposes.
Me and Dan have a good heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys
You know what? Here's the thing that was annoying, though, is I found out that like you can't donate it unless you have a physical SIN card. I just have my
What?
SIN number memorized.
suck.
I've never
Oh.
once needed to have a SIN card.
Do you need your card?
No, because when I
We
'cause,
take
yeah, you're
Canadian
right.
blood only.
Well, because when you donate blood, it's like you can only do it every 3 months. When you donate plasma, it's every week. I've never needed my SIN card. Yeah, because I'm like
Yeah.
you. I always just had it memorized.
Yeah.
And also, why would I carry around a card that has my SIN number
Yeah.
on it? Like, if my wallet gets stolen or something, then it's just like...
Yeah, he was born
yeah.
in New York. He's not even Canadian.
Yeah.
That's actually funny you mentioned that when we were living in Toronto together. I got pickpocketed. And
Oh,
my
dude.
SIM card was in my wallet.
No.
They didn't take it out. They didn't take it out. No.
The craziest part about this, we like leave a board game cafe and like and like I'm standing there having a dart. This guy comes up and starts talking to me, and I was kind of being polite, but I was like, like keeping my fucking distance. The guy
Yeah.
kept getting close to me, and I kept fucking moving away.
Yeah.
Aaron comes out, and all the like people who we were with come out, and then this guy keeps fucking like getting close to Aaron, and Aaron's like, "The fuck are you doing, man?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm just trying to be friends." And Aaron's like, "We have enough friends, dude. Fuck off."
Yeah.
And then we get back to the apartment, and Aaron's like, "Oh fuck! Oh fuck!" And so we
My
like.
friend took my wallet.
Yeah, so then we go back there. We're looking everywhere, dude. We can't find his wallet. And then, like, yeah, he had to go get all of his shit replaced. And then we found your wallet, but
Well, it showed
Oh,
up,
man.
It showed up a week later. Someone messaged me on Facebook. He was like, "Yeah, I have your wallet, has your ID and your SIM card." And I was like, "Sweet." Everything else is gone. All my
Yeah.
credit cards, my transit cards, all the cash I had.
and you would
Oh,
just
dude.
put like $100 on your transit card too. So that motherfucker was
Oh.
riding free.
Jesus. Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, it sucks.
If you're out there, I hope you're having a bad day.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, you were not my friend. You were not friendly.
In case you couldn't tell.
Yeah.
You were not my friend.
You were
Friends
not.
don't steal.
Yeah, I didn't really have enough money for him to spend anything on.
No.
Yeah, I think he spent like
Silver
what, he
lining.
spent $80 at Domino's or something, and then I canceled my card. Yeah, it's like, okay, you bought like 15 pizzas.
Which, in all fairness, like if my shit gets stolen, if I saw that it was at like a food place, I would be a little less, like I'd be like annoyed, but I'd be like, okay, that guy might have needed it.
Yeah.
I don't know if he needed $80
With the Domino's?
Yeah.
That's the
I
line.
didn't even need $1 worth of Domino's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
anyways.
That was
Motherfuckers
weird.
at Whole Foods.
Yeah, then you're like, oh, okay, this is okay.
Yeah. No, it's weird because I remember one time I was working out at the gym or at the YMCA in Lethbridge, and I go into my locker, I open my wallet, my like debit card was stolen. Everything else was there, my credit card, all the cash, like everything else was there. It was just my debit card they took. I look at my bank statements, and there's like a No Frills and a McDonald's right beside it. So I just open, and yeah, the dude spent like he spent like $20 at No Frills and then like $60 at McDonald's. And I was like, but the nice thing is that he like took my debit card, and debit cards can be replaced. Like you go to a bank, they get you a new one in like 5 minutes. Credit cards, you have to wait like 2 weeks or something like that. So I guess it was kind of nice that he took like the debit card, but it's just like, unfortunately the bank was nice. They like, okay, here's your money back. And I was like, cool. But I was just like, why my debit card? And like nothing else. I was
he
like,
went to the discount grocery store.
Yeah.
That's what I like. He was buying like Ziggy's.
yeah.
Very thoughtful.
Yeah. As opposed to $80 worth of
That's a real
Domino's.
friend.
Yeah. Yeah, that dude's my friend. So
Well, I guess we should clue it up. You guys want to plug your dates for your EP again, and then plug your dates for your show. I don't know if you got anything coming up date wise.
Friday I'm at the Alcove Art Center for Raw Voices.
Nice.
Yeah, that's this week. Then other than that, I have a bunch of shit that's in the works, and I'm really waiting to hear back from people right now, and it's fucking driving me crazy. I'm not gonna lie, it's really agitating when you're like, how many follow-ups do I need to fucking send, dude? Just send me a contract already.
It's the 8th one. Just
It's the
a heads
8th
up.
one, yeah.
That's
Following up.
that's the magic
Yeah.
zone. But yeah, we have our new EP, Sleep in the Cold, coming out January 26th. Pre-save now with the link in our bio. Follow us on Spotify. It's super important. It helps in any way, if at all possible. Save our stuff. Follow us on social media. February 3rd, Calgary. We're playing the Rec Room 4. Sleep in the Cold's release. We're playing with Chilio, Howls, and 2 Liter Super Punk. Come fill that motherfucker up. We're going to rock the roof off that place. You'll get a free shirt too, likely. I mean, if you buy tickets, there's a chance you can walk away with merch from every band, over $100 in total. February 10th, we're playing Lethbridge for the Sleep in the Cold release. And then keep in touch on social media. Waterfront official, Instagram, TikTok, waterfront.com. Any announcement coming up for some tours, everything else is going to be there. And yeah, after Sleep in the Cold, just keep spinning that bitch because more will be coming.
Yeah, we'll link everything in
Yeah.
all of our podcasts. If you guys want to check them out, please do.
sick.
It's been a lot of fun. Thanks
Yeah.
for coming on.
Thank you so much for having
Yeah,
us.
Appreciate
thanks
you
a lot for
guys.
I hope we
coming
can
on.
see you guys again here and maybe at Misfit Fest.
Fuck yeah, dude. Misfit Fest.
We'll definitely come check out the show there on the
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Hell
it, buddy.
yeah. Okay, sick.
All right. Well, thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thank
and
you, gentlemen.
anal contusions.